Dun, 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 dun. And we are live. Hello, hello, Rebel Writers. I'm going to do a quick check to make sure that we are live. I swear I'm not texting and living at the same time. There we are. Yes, we are live. Beautiful. Welcome to another edition of Rebel Writers in Action. I am super stoked about our guest today and our conversation we are about to be having. Let us know you're out there. Say hello in the comments. And if you are watching the replay, remember to put that hashtag replay so I can come back and talk to you. We both can. And let us know what lands for you today. We have a beautiful discussion that we are about to start here. All about, well, all things, right? Creativity, the importance of our creative flow. My guest has a unique rebel message out there for all the parents that I'm super excited to get into, because we want to really up-level the way that we think about ourselves, our worth, what we can do, our possibilities, right? Forget those limiting beliefs and all that. So let us know you're here. We are excited to get going, and I'm going to introduce you to my guest today. Today we have Atiya Chaudhry-Green. She is coming all the way in from the UK, so welcome. And she is an entrepreneur committing to supporting children to be less programmed by their experiences as they grow up, which is no small feat, right? So that they can live to be their authentic selves and not conditioned by those limiting beliefs and values. She loves to teach parents and teachers who are curious about how they can support their children and students in doing just that. And she has incredible processes to unlock their own imagination and the creative portal that when they do this work. And so it's truly amazing. She is amazing. And I'm so excited to talk to you today. Let's just dive in. How did you get to this point where you knew that this was the thing?
Thank you. Well, hello everybody, and I'm really excited to be here today. And thank you, Renee, for inviting me. So how did I get to do what I'm doing today? Well, what happened was, you know how we all work for a living and we do all this self-development stuff. And I was doing this program, and on this program, I was curious about why I couldn't speak in large groups. And so this exercise took place where they took me back and said to me, when was the first time I was in a large group? And the scene came up of my 7-year-old self in the large assembly room at school. And there were, you know, all the kids were congregated. They were sat on the floor. The teachers were sat on the aisles. Mm-hmm. And then there was a big TV screen, and we were watching this children's program, puppet show thing. And they were bickering on screen, and everybody was quiet. And all of a sudden I went, he's over there. And I was like mortified. All these children's eyeballs were looking at me, and the teachers were looking at me. And I was like, all I could do in my mind was think, oh my God, how stupid am I? It's only a program. Why did I say what I did? So although it sounds funny, to me as a 7-year-old person, it was really devastating. Yeah. And I just kept playing this negativity in my mind about how stupid I looked or whatever. So consequently, what happened when that came up, I got the aha moment, which was because I'd done all this negative self-talk about how stupid I was in this large group, my unconscious mind and ego. So what happened was when I became an adult, it translated itself that when I was in a large group, and what I noticed was, you know, when you're in, they put you into other groups, and then we were interacting, or it was a problem-solving problem, and people would all talk and I wouldn't say anything. It wasn't that they weren't inviting me to speak. I just noticed I wouldn't speak, but I didn't know why. And so, but it was only till I explored it that I thought, oh my God, it's because that one experience in childhood happened. I'd done all this negative self-talk, which then meant when I became an adult, I'd program myself to not speak in groups because my ego would say, you don't want to do what you did last time, you're going to look stupid and all that kind of thing. Or not that I was aware of it. It was only when I did this, explored it, that this came up, which then got me thinking. So, as adults, we have all these programs and self-awareness and all this. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't it be great if we could reprogram or deal with the child's situation at the time when it happens?
Yeah.
And in the context of what happened to me, I was thinking, wouldn't it have been great if the teacher, after the program had finished, the teacher would have taken me aside and said, Tia, how are you feeling? You said this thing, how are you feeling about it? And I might have said, oh God, miss, I was stupid and blah, blah, blah. And she might have said to me, but Tia, you're unique because you're the only one that could put yourself in the scene of the program.
Right.
So can you see how you can reframe the story to make it in a positive way?
Yeah.
And then my negativity wouldn't have, I wouldn't have kept saying all those things when I walked all the way home, when I couldn't sleep that night and all that kind of thing. So, you stop that negative thinking and help the child to reprogram what's going on. Reprogram, help them to almost go through it, but have choices of thinking about it in different perspectives.
Right. To be able to process in that moment, or, near after, as the, the experience is occurring, rather than, like you said, letting that tape run over and over and over. And pretty soon it's so ingrained, we don't even recognize that was the moment, or these were the things, or this is why we, feel the way we do. This is why we're scared to share our writing or speak in a group, or, any one of those things.
I mean, the question I would have for you, Renee, and then anybody else, is think about an embarrassing moment that you had as a child or even as an adult, and then what did that feel like? What was that like? And then think about, how is that translated as you got even older? Are you doing something that you weren't doing? Are you limited now because of what happened before?
Right.
Know?
Well, I think about that a lot with fears too, like noticing the first time that I was in an airplane and I saw my mom be scared, and I was like, not that not blaming my mom for being scared, but like, oh, but you take that in and you're like, this is something that's supposed to be scary. And as a young kid, but I could have done the same thing and watched my dad, who wasn't scared at all. And like, so where had like you said, if I had talked through those feelings instead of just being this little kid being like, okay, well, my mom's scared and that makes me scared because she's scared. And then, but and focusing on that instead of saying, like, look at everybody else on this airplane, including my, these other people in my family, and they're not scared, and just having that kind of support. But I bet, that is true. And I'd be curious for all our rebel writers out there, if there's something that's coming to mind, that had just happened to be the first thing off the top of my head, because I'm about to get on an airplane again, I think.
And are you feeling scared then? You are. So here's the thing.
That's a whole book. That's a whole book worth of. Well,
it isn't really, because the question then, Renee, to you is, you've already said that your mum had it, so therefore you've translated it into yourself as having it. And actually, in the reality is it really true? Well, no, because there's a load of other people that aren't frightened.
Right.
And then you have the realization that it's a choice.
Totally. That's the only way I can even get myself on the plane, is to make the choice to just do it, and to think about all the exciting things I get to do once we land.
Yeah. And do things to distract yourself while you're on the plane as well, too.
Yes, exactly.
And this is where, again, Renee, there's something about, if we have our own children, we need to be careful as parents. What behaviors are we demonstrating? How are we behaving? So, if you're a frustrated mom and the kids aren't doing something and then you're shouting at them, well, guess what? They're going to start shouting at their children when they get them. Do you know what I mean? So something about, the more we can be self-aware of our own behaviors and what we're doing in front of the children and how we might want to do it differently.
Yeah.
The
Or
better.
even speak about it differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's okay for me to have my fear, and if I don't want it to translate to my child, I can say, you know, this is just a thing that I'm a little scared of, but you don't have to be. And I can do the work to point out all the things that, you know, are really cool and really great. And, you know, regardless.
Yeah, but also, you know, kids are very creative. So it's almost like saying to the kid, what would you do then if you didn't want to be frightened about it? You know, how would you overcome it? So let them explore what they could do.
I love that invitation. And that's really, you know, why I love the work that you do so much, because, you know, it's like you're getting to the root. And you're helping the parents and the kids at the same time. And so tell us a little bit about where you mentioned creativity, but where does the creative process play a role in this work that you do?
Okay, so so as you know, well, when we come into the world, we have all our five senses. And then what happens, and we do lots of things like play. And the more educated we get, the less play we do, and the more hang-ups we have. And sometimes the creativity gets dumbed down because we don't play, we're not lighthearted and whatever. So, and so what I want to bring home from a creative perspective is we need to get into more of the lighthearted play mode. And the reason why we want to do that, not just for us, we need to play with our inner child that we've done down. And secondly, we need to play to model that for our children, because they like to play when they're younger. And one way of one way of connecting with the child is connecting the way that they like to do things. So here's an example. I was in a Facebook group with lots of parents, and one of the chaps in the program, he wrote a message saying, oh my God, he'd recently been divorced, and his 7-year-old girl, her name's Jazzy at the time, she drew a picture and her father, and it was a heart, it was like a broken heart thing. And he asked her, what's this picture, Jazzy? And she says, oh, it's a picture showing that you don't love me, Daddy. And he was like mortified, and he was really upset by it. And he thought, oh my God, she did this, and I feel really upset about it. And, you know, she doesn't think I love her. And I put something like, well, you know, not just talk to her, don't talk to her. Why don't you draw a picture back about how you love her? It doesn't matter that you can't draw. Just use her crayons and you draw why you love her. And he did this beautiful picture of a heart, a picture of him, a picture of her, and then he wrote words, and he put like, you know, we can still love each other and we can be different. He put all this stuff in this. Wow. So anyway, he put this picture on the breakfast table. He started doing breakfast and Jazzy said, oh, Daddy, what's this? So he went over to her and he sat with her and he said, oh, it's a picture showing you how much I do love you. And then he went back to cooking, and then she just looked at it, and then she says, Daddy, I think we need to put my picture and your picture on the fridge wall sort of thing, on, you know, on the magnetic thing. And he says, yeah, that's fine. But the interesting thing was their language when they communicated with each other was then through drawing. She'd draw drawings and he'd draw drawings. And that was one way of connecting. But she understood better why her dad loved her. One, because he used his own creativity, if you like, and drew what he wrote was important to him to demonstrate to her. But think about with the child, when you sit them down and say, oh, I do love you, and you say all this verbal stuff. Right. But there's no physical stuff that they can then see. You know, if a child's drawn something, and how wonderful is it that child has, you don't love me, and then the father's written, I do love you, and it's both in pictorial imagery. And guess what? Our brain learns through images faster than it does words as well. Yeah. So that's an example of creativity. And secondly, you know, in our day-to-day life, we tend to use the left brain more, you know, doing analytical work. and we use less of the right brain. So for me, it's really important that we use the right brain in unlocking our own ways of doing things.
Yes.
So for this, in this context of the father, for example, I didn't ask him, I didn't say to him, draw this, draw lots of perspectives or whatever. He did whatever came to his mind in this pictorial way, in his way, and it was fantastic. I mean, I've got the drawing, so but yeah, it's a fantastic. And so the other part for me was when I learned the neurolinguistic programming course that I did and program that I did. One of the things I recognized is the thing that I'm teaching that's coming up this week is around language pattern and about deep rapport with people. And I learned the process, but then I applied it in practice and I started to notice things. And then I developed my own practice because something was working. And because I said to myself, oh, I wonder what happened if. And so then I started doing things slightly different. So one of the things I want to do with parents, or that I do with parents, is I want to open their own creativity. So whilst I might share and teach something, I want them to do it their way, because guess what? They know their child better than me.
Right.
Here's the process and you play with it. So the key word I keep using is play, because the more we play with things, it gives us the license to fail, or it's not failure, it's just like evolving with it over time. So yeah,
absolutely.
And then, the visual stuff, you remember things. This is me.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Different ways of how you can demonstrate what you do and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
But look at that. You're going to remember that image. Then you are, so if you do that with your children, and actually with children, it helps them to retain their information for their exams. They remember in pictures as well, even though they might be auditory or whatever. But yeah, there's something about opening up that fun and play within ourselves in doing things differently.
Yeah, we all need more play and more fun and more joy. I love that. And I love what you're doing. You mentioned you have something coming up. It starts on Friday. Give us a little snippet about what you're doing, who's it for, and how we can get there.
Yeah. Okay. So it's happening on Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week for an hour. And it's 3 keys. I've called it 3 keys to effective communication with your child. And really, what I'm going to be sharing is that we all have a particular preference of way of talking through a language pattern. And guess what? Your child is programmed into a different one, maybe. And so when you're trying to communicate with them in your way, so it's like, it's how to talk the way that your child will best receive it. And also sharing some powerful words that work, because guess what? Sometimes, somebody can say something to us and it leads us down a negative path. And other times you say things and you can be happy. So guess what? Sometimes we have to be mindful of the words that we use with our children, because it can lead them to go into a negative state, or feeling frustrated, feeling angry themselves. And guess what? Then that translates to, the parents, and then that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're going to learn about language patterns. You're going to learn about words that work. So it's happening this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's for an hour at 7 p.m. in the UK time.
Right, which we discovered was 2 p.m. Eastern
time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you want to join, feel free. I have a Facebook group that I'm going to be, it's a Zoom call, but I'll be streaming into the Facebook group. So if they want to just join the Facebook group and in there, that way they can do. But I think you've got the links.
I do. Well, I'll make sure, that I stick all those links in the comments. Yeah.
And the other thing is busy moms and frustrated moms and busy moms. There's something about self-care unless we look after ourselves. So guess what? There's going to be some prizes every day. Self-care prizes. So if you come and join live and participate in some of the things that we're going to be doing, you're going to be entered into a prize to win some self-care strategies.
Oh, I
So
love
really
it.
look forward to that.
I love it so much.
So,
Well, I tell you, I wish you were around when I was a kid. Well, I mean, you were, but not doing the work.
yeah.
We were around, but
Yeah.
you know, to really hone in on this piece where we can, you know, we're all doing the work now. We are doing this inner work so we can see that outer change, and you are helping the parents so that we can, you know, diminish the effects of our own programming on our children, on our students. And, you know, we here in the Rebel Writers groups, we are all about, you know, tapping into our creativity in multiple ways. And one of those ways is really to allow us to heal and to have that experience of more joy. And so grateful to you and the work you're doing, and for being here and talking to us today all about it. I will make sure to put those links in the comments. And if you are watching now live or on the replay, let us know what landed for you. What are those limiting beliefs that you may have just uncovered from our conversation today? And then, of course, join the amazing training that starts on Friday. 3 keys to effective communication with your children. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Renee. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Yes. All right, Rebel Writers, we are going to be back a couple more times this week. We've got a busy week here in the Rebel Writers room. Join us Wednesday evening for a chat with soul coach Melody Long, and then join us again on Friday. I am so excited to have Lauren Handelman, author. She wrote an amazing book that I just finished reading, and so catch us for that as well. And then, of course, next week we will be back with our Create Copy That Converts training. So busy couple of weeks here.